Good afternoon, 5 o'clock here at WDBO. Our top story, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre today saying the U.S. is still trying to ascertain the whereabouts and well-being of Trevor King, that American soldier who crossed into North Korea on Tuesday.
We are still gathering all the facts. It is still very early on. I believe the Secretary himself of the Department of Defense said yesterday it might take us a little bit of time to ascertain all of that information.
An IRS whistleblower telling members of Congress today that investigators slow-walked the probe into Hunter Biden's taxes. The president's son took a plea deal last month for 2 misdemeanor offenses related to his federal income taxes. IRS criminal investigator Joseph Ziegler called for members of Congress to consider appointing a special counsel.
I believe such a path will strengthen the public's confidence in their institutions and their fair and equal treatment of all Americans under the law.
Construction is underway on a new $17.7 million freestanding emergency room in Maitland.
Officials with the Oviedo Medical Center, an affiliate of HCA Florida Healthcare, announced this week that construction started on HCA Florida Maitland Emergency. The 11,000 square foot ER will be located at 9401 Summit Center Way, which is at the corner of Maitland Boulevard and Forest City Road. The facility is expected to treat families with all types of acute injuries and illnesses around the clock every day of the year starting in the spring of 2024. Leo Vargas, WDBO 107.3 FM, AM 580.
And Netflix's cheapest basic ad-free option is no longer available for returning or new members. The move was prompted by the streaming giant's crackdown on password sharing. Current subscribers of the plan won't be impacted unless they change their plan or cancel it. It's 5:01 here at WDBO. Hi, friends.
So they whistle in this commercial. Am I allowed to whistle with it, Beth?
No, because they can't hear the commercial.
Right. Hello, Karen. Hello, Paul. Hello, Mark. The testimony is still ongoing right now, actually. And I don't know how much time we're going to spend on that. Probably not a lot, if any. We're going to talk about sex today. Laurel, are you listening to me?
I am. I don't know how to respond to
More
that.
specifically, we're going to talk about sex in space, as scientists are now calling for urgent research on the consequences of joining the Kármán Line Club. They say with all this private space travel now, even though NASA says no one has ever had sex in space, first, I kind of doubt that. I feel like sex has been had in space, but they literally have all these issues with having sex in space, saying that it's difficult to have sex in space because there's no gravity to keep you in place. And it literally says because you could bump your head on things because as you move around. That would be the one place where bondage would make sense. You would have to strap someone down. Look, I'm not making the rules of gravity, okay? Gravity has its own rules. Gravity, it's not just a good idea, it's the law.
Meteorologist Tom Terry.
Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Well, as Tom Terry just told us, we've got a lot of rain right now. It's very, very busy and very heavy rain. Lots of wet roadways here in the north part of Seminole County. I-4 both directions between Lake let's see, Lake Monroe and all the way down to Longwood. You got both sides of I-4 just jammed up. It's also the same way near the 429 Turnpike, Colonial area. That's also very heavy on both sides. Going to be kind of a slow afternoon. I see it building right now all over, so have some patience. ProTech Air Conditioning and Plumbing Service for honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction. Call ProTech 407-291-1644 or visit protechac.com. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Local news, national news, even feel-good news, delivering the topics that are relevant to you.
That's why I listen to Joe. He covers it all.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show is on! The Joe Kelley Show is on! I am doing that for the woman yesterday who said we should send out some sort of an announcement when the show starts. So consider yourself informed. Now my throat hurts and I will take the next 2 hours off. All right, I'm Joe Kelley. Listen, I just sent a push alert in the WDBO app because I want you guys to see this video because you're going to hear the audio, but I want you to see the video while you were at work today, while you were at the office, while you were down in the factory floor, while you were down in the mine, while you were in your cubicle farm, whatever it is you do for a living, while you're at work. The president had a meeting with the Israeli president. The Israeli president addressed the Congress today, and they brought the media in for the meeting between President Biden and the Israeli president. And the audio is going to do it justice, but not as good as the video. You've got to see this video. You can see it right now in the WDBO app. But Joe Biden is sitting in a chair. I don't know if it's Oval Office or one of the other offices there in the White House, sitting in a chair. It's one of these typical photo ops you see the president, and the president is having a discussion with the Israeli president. The two presidents are talking, and the media is recording it. And President Biden has his hands folded in his lap and his head down as if he was in prayer or asleep. The latter being more likely than the former, but he's actually talking, or rather mumbling, at the time. Take a listen.
And we brought Israelis and Palestinians together at a political level, and Akwa and Paul Sharon. Yeah. And as I affirmed to Prime Minister.
I know there's a lot of room noise there. That the microphones that are used there in the White House, so whatever media does that, there's a lot of noise in the room. But the poor Israeli president is sitting there looking at Joe Biden. The Israeli president is engaged. He is literally sitting on the edge of his seat, and he's leaning towards Joe Biden, probably so he can hear him better, probably so he can understand him better. And Joe Biden is, like I said, kind of laid back in his chair. He's kind of kicked back a little bit, and he's mumbling. And you can make out the first couple of words. You can make out the last couple of words. But this is so embarrassing for the United States. And honestly, this is not about D's and R's. I don't dislike Joe Biden. Rather, let me rephrase that. I don't disapprove of Joe Biden just because he's a Democrat. I fully disapprove of Joe Biden because he has no cognitive awareness. Fully disapprove. This man should be removed from office some way, somehow, because he is a cognitive mess, and he's an embarrassment for the United States. And there's no possible way that guy's in charge. Joe Biden needs to be in a senior home right now, where they serve ice cream every afternoon and they show Matlock reruns every day. And someone should be tending to his needs, changing his diaper, whatever needs to be done. Joe Biden is being abused. Joe Biden is a victim of elder abuse by all of his handlers, by his wife, by his sons, his son now, his brother, the rest of the Biden family cartel. This is an abuse of an elderly man who has no idea where he is or what he's doing. And I am embarrassed on behalf of the United States for our leadership. Of course, I've been embarrassed for our leadership for quite some time now. We're so dysfunctional as a nation and so terribly divided as a nation. I just don't understand how how anybody could vote for Joe Biden for 2024 just with a cognitive mess that he is. He's only going to get worse, and it's going to be rapid. He's going to rapidly decline until he dies. He has absolutely no business being in the White House. He has absolutely no business being the leader of the free world because he doesn't know that he's the leader of the free world. He doesn't know it. I genuinely, truly feel sorry for Joe Biden. I'm not being sarcastic. I genuinely believe he's being abused. I genuinely believe that this is elder abuse. After hearing that, what do you think? 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. I will tell you that, again, seeing the video has a much greater impact than just hearing it. When you see him compared to the Israeli president, he's just doing a terrible job on behalf of the American people.
Joe,
No, I want to hear President Biden again.
And we brought Israelis and Palestinians together at a political level, and And as I affirmed to Prime Minister.
And I feel for the sign language interpreter for the president. At that point, you just shrug, like, I don't know what he's saying. And then the transcript literally said unintelligible. You could not tell in the middle of that what in the world he was saying. I think it's dangerous to have a man like that in the White House. Again, not because of the D's and the R's. I think it's dangerous to have a man like that in the White House because he is being manipulated. He is a marionette. He is a puppet, and someone else is pulling the strings. And it's not Joe Biden. I would feel much better about Joe Biden if he had cognitive awareness. He knew what day it was. He knew where he was. He knows which people are dead and which people are alive. He knows there aren't people on stage to shake hands with. He knows how to get off of a stage. He knows how to walk stairs. I wouldn't care that he's a Democrat. I'd still care. I still wouldn't vote for the guy. But physically, he is not cut out for this job. And how any Democrat, shame on any Democrat that's going to vote for Joe Biden moving forward, because you are empowering the enablers. You are the enablers. If you're voting for Joe Biden, you're an enabler of elder abuse. There, I said it. If you're a Democrat and you vote for Joe Biden, you are an enabler of elder abuse. Let that man go home and retire. Let him have his days off. Not that he's really working a lot anyway. Let him go home and enjoy what's left of his life. Continuing to abuse him the way that the White House is, the way that Jill Biden does, the way that Hunter Biden does, the way that the White House does, the way that the Democrat Party does, the way that the Democrats in Congress do, is embarrassing. Shame on them. 844-580-WDBO. Steve is checking in from Stanford. You're up first. Hello, Steve. You're on WDBO. Thanks for calling.
Oh, hi. Let's forget about all the baggage that Biden and the politics and everything that's coming through. I think this flame goes, if Joe Biden loves this man, she needs to get him out. This is ridiculous. This has gone beyond belief. It's worse than a cartoon.
Yeah.
How we can govern with a man like this is beyond me. It's totally ridiculous. It's beyond belief. I think I'm watching a sitcom or something.
Look, I feel the same way, Steve. I just do a face palm every day. I'm like, I can't believe this. I can't believe that this is our guy. That somehow And Democrats look the other way. I mean, they act like the guy's not impaired. He is terribly impaired.
Unbelievable. But just when you think it can't get any worse, it gets worse.
Certainly seems to. Steve, is it raining where you are?
Yeah, we're in Sanford, and it is coming down.
Yep, it certainly is. Be careful, please. Drive safely. Steve, thank you so much. Glad you joined us. 844-580-WDBO, 844-580-9326, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. Also, Ron Perlman. You guys know who Ron Perlman is? Laurel, Paul, does that name ring a bell at all? Ron Perlman?
Yeah, he's Hellboy.
Yeah. Right. He's an actor. He's Hellboy. And he always plays a badass character, right? I mean, in everything I've ever seen him in, he's always the bad guy or a badass. He was in, what was that big motorcycle drama that was on FX?
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy. He was in that. You know, I don't want to insult him this way, but he's kind of an ugly guy. He's kind of a scary looking guy, you know, and he's large. He has a huge head and a huge face. And he's got, I will say, I watched this video of him today. He's got very blue eyes. He's got beautiful blue eyes, but otherwise, he's got this deep, deep voice. Well, he posted, he was doing a live video on the interwebs, and he absolutely slammed the Hollywood elite. He slammed the film studios because of the ongoing strike that's happening with the Writers Guild, and now the actors have joined that strike, and now we might have a UPS strike that's coming around the corner as well. Now I had to heavily edit this, and heads up here to Ronald, our executive producer today. Ronald, you will not have to hit the dump button. I promise you. I caught all the curse words in Ron Perlman's rant. I will say that Ron Perlman has since deleted the rant, and he kind of apologized. He didn't really apologize. In fact, he never even said, "I'm sorry" or "I'm apologizing." Nothing like that. He was like, "Earlier today, I did a thing," and then he just starts cussing again, and he basically goes back into the same rant. But check out this rant from actor Ron Perlman on these studio heads of the motion picture industry.
One thing before I get off this.
Oh, I've got to point something out. You guys know how I always hear things in the background? So listen to this Ron Perlman audio. He must be sitting on his back patio. So you hear the birds chirping. But if you listen real carefully, and if your car's quiet, and if it's not raining too hard in your car, I swear there's someone in the background calling her dog. She's like, "Honey, come here." You can hear her calling. There's someone calling a dog in the background. All right, let's go.
One thing before I get off this. The motherfucker who said we're going to keep this thing going until people start losing their houses and their apartments. Listen to me, motherfucker. There's a lot of ways to lose your house. Some of it is financial. Some of it is karma. And some of it is just figuring out who the fuck said that. And we know who said that. And where he fucking lives. There's a lot of ways to lose your house. You wish that on people. You wish that families starve while you're making $27 million a year for creating nothing. Be careful, motherfucker. Be really careful. Because that's the kind of shit that stirs shit up. Peace out.
You know, first of all, did you hear the lady calling her dog in the background? Could you hear that? And you certainly heard the birds, right? In principle, I agree with Ron Perlman. I agree. Ron Perlman. I don't like Ron Perlman. He's an okay actor. He is a bleeding heart leftist. But I agree that the workers, the actual creators in Hollywood, the actual writers and the writers are kings. I mean, they are supreme. The writers are in Hollywood. The actors are secondary. Actors are a dime a dozen. But people who can write compelling dialogue and compelling scripts are worth far more than they're getting paid, while studio heads are making millions and billions, and they don't create anything. And I fully agree that the Writers Guild in particular, lesser so the actors, but the Writers Guild definitely needs to be compensated better. And I agree with Ron Perlman in principle. I just don't agree with Ron Perlman threatening other people's livelihoods or other people's houses just because a movie head did it. It's not the right thing to do it back. It's just me. Your thoughts, 844-580-WDBO. Use the open mic in the WDBO app.
Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Well, we do have a lot of rain. It's just been kind of crazy this afternoon. It continues to be that way. It doesn't look like it's going to get much better in the next 20, 30 minutes. Lots of red on the screen. We also have a crash I-4 eastbound before 408. The exit ramp to the 408 has the left lane blocked there, but traffic just really heavy getting through downtown. Also a crash on Colonial westbound at Dorshire Road. They've got 2 right lanes closed there. This report sponsored by Compassion International. Drought, war, and rising food prices have devastated families in poverty. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Today is National Hot Dog Day, celebrating the staple of cookouts everywhere. That means there will be plenty of specials and deals to be found, a good thing for Americans who eat about 70 hot dogs per capita each year. There was no grand prize winner in Tuesday night's Mega Millions drawing, pushing the jackpot up to an estimated $720 million. Meanwhile, players across the country have a chance to win $1 billion in their jackpot tonight in the Powerball drawing. One. Police are swarming a South Florida Walmart after reports of a shooting. There are reports of 2 people injured at the Florida City store. Multiple air rescue units have been dispatched. Cops are looking for a possible 2 suspects. I didn't know that, David. That is a good fact. And fits, because he does look like a caveman. He's got that really square head, you know? So it fits.
By the way, Joe can't hear me, but him calling, ugly, calling Ron Perlman ugly, I like to use the word intimidating because, ugly is offensive to all people like me. So
You're silly.
I will be in and out, by the way, on the video feed today.
Okay.
I got other things going on. So just in case I disappear, I will magically reappear.
Okie dokie.
Thank you.
I love hot dogs too, Karen. That's why I like doing that one.
I feel like we're 2 seconds away from Storm Center being activated.
Probably.
That
I thought I heard rain before. Was it raining out there before?
It's unbelievably stormy.
Oh, Paul's going to show us something.
I mean, it is.
Oh, look at all that red. That's not
great. Wicked weather right now.
Ooh, and everybody's driving like it.
And there's so much lightning.
Yeah, it's crazy. Right
Did you say gross, Paul?
No.
All that traffic is gross. Did you see it?
I thought you saw something on him that was gross. I'm like,
he already called himself ugly like 20 seconds ago. So
are you kidding? Is he picking his nose? What the hell? Don't pick your nose on the TV. Ronald, there's no way we're not going to have a storm center. Do you hear that? There's no way we're not going to have a storm center.
Really, Stephanie? That was one of the deals then. That's cool. Should have gotten some hot dogs today. Thunder by OIA, Terry? Yeah, I bet. Storming in Lakeland.
Every camera
driving home to Claremont
is pouring rain.
Yeah. Driving home to Claremont last night was like, it'd be nothing, and then it would be a freaking hurricane, and then it'd be nothing, and then it'd be a hurricane again. It was wild.
Yeah, the chopper Air 1 is down too, so.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
No rain. I mean, no flying in the rain.
No flying in this. Yeah. No, no, no.
In the morning, though, when I get in there, it's going to be fine. It's just in the afternoon every day.
Yep. Oof. Ooh, I like that too, David. Sauerkraut? Yeah. I love sauerkraut and hot dogs. Those are delicious. And now I'm hungry. I was confused about the Ron Perlman video, though, because I saw people like they were yelling at Ron Perlman, but I'm like, hold on, wasn't he insulting the big money Hollywood? We're striking against big money producers anyways, right? So he was just saying what the protesters are protesting for. I guess we're mad because he was threatening lives.
Hey, Paul.
Though, right? Is that the point?
Hey, Laurel. Didn't we change the law in Florida about having your hazards on while driving?
Correct. Yes.
So now it is legal to have your hazards on while driving?
Yeah, I wish it wasn't, but it is.
I have it open.
But it's still illegal to not have your headlights on while it's raining. You must.
I'm
going
to play an open mic as we come back, so watch the bed.
Ooh, chili's good too, Karen. Yeah. Chili hot dogs, yum. Like in Disney, like in Magic Kingdom.
I saw the question asked earlier. I did have my second lunch today. My first lunch was leftover pizza from Friday, and my second lunch was a leftover sandwich from yesterday. It's all right, man. It's cool. This is the conversation we have in the chat. In the chat room right now. It's on the WDBO Facebook page if you want to check it out. A lot of open mics coming in and a few about the weather.
Can we please get a notification sent out across all radio stations that there is absolutely no need for drivers to be driving with their hazard lights on in the rain? The hazard lights are supposed to be used for emergency purposes only, not for the fact that you can't drive in the rain.
You know, what's interesting about that is that used to be against the law to put your blinkers on, your hazards on while driving in the rain. But Paul Cross, that law changed, and now drivers can. I don't know that they're advised to. I don't know that that helps at all. I mean, what is the purpose of putting your hazards on if every driver has their hazards on while still driving?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll tell you what. The other day, my wife and I were going out to Mount Dora, and it was raining so hard. The windshield wipers, one of those days where the windshield wipers couldn't even catch up with it.
Sure.
And you just go, well, what's in front of me? You have no idea what's in front of you. Putting your lights on is still the legal thing to do. You have to have your lights on.
Headlights.
When it's raining. But yeah, headlights. But hazards, I don't know the benefit of that. And it is now legal to drive that way. So, I mean, I know that they're trying to say, hey, look at me. Here I am. My hazards are on. Don't run into me. But you shouldn't be going 80 miles an hour when it's pouring so hard you can't see 100 feet in front of you anyway.
And I would tell you, this is the heaviest, most electric storm I've seen in a long time that is not a severe thunderstorm. I'm a little surprised at the Weather Service. They've issued a special weather statement about it, but they have not issued a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. I hear it affecting our signal, even the lightning. It might be affecting your signal as well right now.
And Joe, if I can just interject, it is legal to drive with your hazards on, but only under certain circumstances. And one of them is when the extreme low visibility that I just mentioned. If it's just raining, it's still illegal to drive with your hazards on. If it's just raining and you can see down the roadway a bit, but if it's really low visibility, you can drive that way.
All right, good to know. Paul Cross, thank you, sir, very much. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Joe Biden today. And Biden met with the Israeli president. They had a little meeting in the White House today. They invited the media in, and Biden has got his head down, his hands in his lap. He looks like he's either in prayer or asleep. And he starts talking and he's mumbling, and the poor Israeli president is smiling and leaning in. He's trying to be nice. He's trying to be courteous. He's trying to be courteous to the old guy who has no idea where he is and certainly just wants to be having his ice cream for the day. This is Biden.
And we brought Israelis and Palestinians together at a political level, and And as I affirmed to Prime Minister.
All right, so your reaction.
Biden has issues, but I also don't want Kamala Harris to be the first female president with all of her word salad. Boy,
Yeah.
you can't win for losing.
No, yeah, I think Biden has no cognitive awareness. She is just purely incompetent. And yes, it is a terrible, terrible combination. I'm Joe Kelley. You can join me at 844-580-WDBO or hit me up in the open mic in the WDBO app.
This is WDBO.
WDBO.
Good afternoon, 5:30 here at WDBO. Our top story, the White House says it's working for the release of a U.S. soldier after he allegedly crossed into North Korea.
The White House, Department of Defense, the State Department, and the UN are all continuing to work together on this matter.
Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the Biden administration is actively working to make sure 23-year-old U.S. Air Army Private Travis King will be safely returned. King is in North Korean custody after crossing the border willfully and without authorization, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said yesterday. Carly Russell went missing in Alabama last Thursday after calling 911 to report seeing a toddler on the side of Interstate 459 south of Birmingham. She returned home on foot Saturday evening. Hoover Police Chief Nicholas Dursis says that the investigation is ongoing and they don't know exactly what happened.
This investigation is not over. We're still working this case, and we'll be working this case until we uncover every piece of evidence that helps us account for the 49 hours that Carly Russell was missing.
The Hoover Police Department hasn't found any evidence that there was a toddler on the side of the interstate and that they didn't get any other calls about that said toddler. It's 5:31 here at WDBO. I saw that case all over TikTok, right, about Carly Russell. Everybody's making TikToks about Carly Russell's went missing. And when I first saw those videos, something rubbed me wrong about it. I'm like, So in case you don't know, this woman apparently called her family, said, I see a toddler on the side of the road. I'm going to pull over to help it. And then she screamed and it was disconnected. And police found her car and her wig and never found her. And just something about all those videos. I'm like, something's not right. Something's not right. This doesn't seem. And now they're pretty much saying she faked it. So, wonder if we'll ever know why. No, you're not related, David. No. No, this was in Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah, maybe, Terry. Something. And to go through all that and then just come home like the next couple of days, I'm like, was this an attention grab? Is she off of medication? Maybe, I don't know. I'm struggling with it because part of me is like, the family was insisting she was taken, right? Just insisting she was taken. And I'm like, maybe because I'm in news, I was super skeptical of it. And now that it's pretty much leading to she made it up, I'm like, see? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't feel that way. Maybe I'm being a little too bitter about it. Yeah, she came home. She's home and safe.
Chris, have you left me an open mic, Chris? A couple open mics? I'm just trying to identify a voice. Okay, thank you.
By the way, eating a hot dog with a fork.
Are you having a hot dog? Is that
With
a
a
cold?
fork.
It's National Hot Dog Day.
I hate hot dogs.
You're weird.
Just don't.
So when you come over for dinner, we're making bacon-wrapped hot dogs with mixed vegetables.
Oh, God. Oh, my. What? Why? I thought you liked me. Why would you hate me so much? Paul, how can you eat while you're on the air? I don't understand that, man. Look at you. Just, oh, for Pete's sake. You have to have a good hot dog. So every hot dog I've ever had, actually, every hot dog I've ever had has been a terrible hot dog. So
if we go to a baseball game together, we're having a hot dog.
I feel like I have tried enough hot dogs over the years that is it not possible that I can just dislike hot dogs? I love hamburgers. Oh, cheeseburgers. I could eat cheeseburgers every day for the rest of my life. Love me some cheeseburgers. Greasy cheeseburgers. Ugh. Well, no. Well, wait. I don't think so, Chris. I know, National Hot Dog Day, but it's gross. It's gross.
Yeah, do you like bologna?
I have not had bologna since I was 10 or 11 years old.
White bread, mayonnaise, and bologna
Well, a
sandwich.
slice of cheese at least, right? Slice of cheese.
Well, sure, I'll take either.
Some
or,
lettuce
yeah.
and a tomato.
Not all that.
I just want something that's going to drown out the bologna flavor.
Heavy rain causing major slowdowns. That's it. Back to you, Joe. It's all like it's just a mess. This is throughout Seminole, Orange, Osceola counties. I'm looking into Lake and Volusia, red everywhere. We got a crash I-4 westbound before Lake Mary Boulevard. That one blocking the left lane. And a crash I-4 eastbound before the 408. This one is on the exit ramp to the 408. The left lane blocked there. Going to be a very interesting afternoon. This report sponsored by Wendy's. Wendy's BOGO $1 deal is back at participating Wendy's. Buy a Dave's single, spicy chicken sandwich, 10-piece nugs, or medium frosty. Get another for $1. Double your deliciousness. Hurry, this BOGO deal won't last. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Breaking news to lively debates, covering the issues that matter to you.
I make it a point to listen to Joe Kelley when I need to fully understand what's happening in the news.
Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's news and talk, WDBO.
Well, we didn't really plan on talking about whether or not you should have your flashers on while you're driving, but evidently everybody else wants to talk about that. So I'll do that. Let's talk about flashers. And by flashers, I don't mean the guy that opens up his raincoat. I mean the four-way flashers on your car, your hazard lights, your blinkers. Not blinkers, they're the hazard lights. Come on, we know what we're talking about here. So a lot of people are using their four-way blinkers here during this very, very heavy rainstorm.
Paul Cross, Joe Kelley. Anybody with their hazard lights on, 9 times out of 10, they're not doing 80 miles an hour. They're the ones going 30, 40 under the speed limit on the highway. Or if it's like just a normal state road, you can bet they're going like 15, 20 under on that road. The hazard lights help because sometimes people's brake lights aren't brightest and it helps people from being rear-ended. Truckers do it.
All right, so he's in favor of it. Ronald, by the way, pulled up the current state law on this, and it reads that that Florida drivers may use their hazard lights when there is extremely low visibility on the roadway and the posted speed limit is at least 55 miles an hour or higher. So if you're on I-4 or the 429 or the 417 or the 523 or you get the idea there.
The thing is with the hazards, and that's exactly what my point was, is not the people that are going 80 miles an hour aren't using their hazards. It's the people that are in the right lane going, hey, look at me, here I am, don't run into the back of me. And the reason why they have to put those hazards on is because there are people that just can't drive in the rain. They don't want to slow down.
course, there are other lights that are important.
Joe, and then you have the morons who don't even have their headlights on, and especially dark cars.
Yeah, so you got to make sure you got to have your headlights on, especially now. I mean, this is not sunset time, but it certainly looks like it because of the storms right now.
Yeah, I can pretty much gauge how far the storm is based on the crackles coming through the AM. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we are hearing that too. There is a lot of lightning associated with this storm. It has been quite electrical, that's for sure. 844-580-WDBO. We have now the COMOTD. Do you guys want to hear the COMOTD? That is the confusing open mic of the day. I have no idea what this is in reference to.
And please know, I am not for violence. Only when provoked is my thing, but you can't just ask evil to, hey, evil, could you cut that out? Please? You would? Oh, thanks. Sure. Well, let's go back to living a good life for everybody. Sometimes the devil needs to be spanked. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do not. I don't know what you're saying, but thank you so much for your contribution. Let's go to John in Orlando at 844-580-WDBO. John, you're on the Joe Kelley Show. How are you?
Pretty good. Driving in the rain.
Yeah.
Thanks for the traffic advisories.
Of course.
Hey, just wanted to make a quick point is that you have hazard lights that could be either red or yellow. Yellow has a much greater visibility. I think the origin of the law is they didn't want flashing red lights to look like brake lights. So,
I got to say, color my hazard lights are on my car. I'll have to turn them on tonight and walk around back in front and see what they look like, because I haven't the foggiest idea if they're red or yellow.
Yeah, the yellow is definitely highlights visibility.
I can see that would be the case. John, thank you so much.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Speaking about the great traffic reporting that we provide for our listeners, Paul Cross, I know that quite simply you can say it's terrible everywhere you're driving right now.
Yeah, really, you're wherever you are, especially on I-4 between Sanford and all the way down through Celebration, you've got brake lights. You've got lots of slowing. You've got lots of rain contributing to that. The 408 is also really busy as you make your way through downtown. Everything is just on steroids. All of the regular slow areas are just even slower today. So keep that in mind. Get home safely. There will be crashes. I'm going to report on them. Let's not make yours or you a part of one of those crashes. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
How about asking for some of these idiots that do drive with their hazard lights on in the rain to call in and tell us why they do this?
All right, there you go. If you want to do that, you can tell us why. That's funny. I got two open mics on two different topics telling people to call in as we were talking about Joe Biden and what a cognitive mess he is, and how today at the White House he just again embarrasses the United States by mumbling and fumbling his way through a meeting with the Israeli president.
Hey, Joe, I got to say I 100% agree with you. But what you should do right now is implore anyone who disagrees with the cognitive decline of Biden to call you. They should go to the front of the line of your phone calls. We need to hear from someone who actually thinks this is not happening or this is not a thing. I don't know if that exists. Love you, Joe.
Thank you. I don't know if it exists either, to be honest with you. I don't know. And I would love to hear from a Democrat, because I will repeat what I said in the last half hour. That is, if you're a Democrat, you should be ashamed of yourself if you're voting for Joe Biden, because he has proven himself to not be qualified to be president based upon his mental acuity or lack thereof. And I am empathetic for Democrats. I feel for Democrats because you don't have another option, really. I mean, you just don't have another option. And if you're a Democrat and you don't go vote for Joe Biden, then effectively you're casting a vote for Donald Trump. Democrats are they've got to just be apoplectic and beyond words on what to do. Even if if Democrats can be honest with themselves and say, you know what, Joe Biden is a mess. He does have serious cognitive decline, and he should not be our commander in chief. I just don't know how you could cast a vote for Joe Biden in the state that he's in right now.
As a general, I am embarrassed of my commander-in-chief.
All right. As a general, thank you for that. I appreciate that. 844-580-WDBO or hit me up in the open mic in the WDBO app.
Hey, Joe, earlier you said let's let Joe Biden go home and retire for the rest of his days. You only had part of it right. It's the nursing home where he should be now.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I've said that as well. Yeah, he should. And I truly, and I'm not being sarcastic, I'm not being a jerk about this. I feel sorry for Joe Biden. I really do. I don't think that he wanted to run for president. I think it's been his lifelong ambition. And to that end, it was just habitual to run for president for Joe Biden. What was it, his fourth run that he finally got elected as president? So I think it was just more of a habit for Joe Biden to want to seek the presidency. But he's past his prime. And again, it has nothing to do with his Democrat policies. He is past his expiration date when it comes to being a cognitive person that can lead the United States of America. It's just not acceptable. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326, or hit me up in the open mic in the WDBO app. While you're at work today, another thing happened down in Broward County. A jury in Broward County has awarded $800,000 in damages in a lawsuit against McDonald's and a franchise owner. The lawsuit alleged and found that hot chicken McNuggets burned a 4-year-old girl on her thigh. And the jury has already found fault with both McDonald's and the franchisee. So today's court hearing was about awarding damages. Now, the victim's parents were seeking $15 million for the burn that they said left their 4-year-old daughter disfigured and scarred. Keeping in mind that a chicken nugget is about the size of, a half dollar at most. I mean, they're not very big. And I realize that a 4-year-old's thigh is going to be smaller than us grown-ups' thighs. And I am not without compassion for this child. And I'm sorry that she has a scar on her leg now. And she continues to eat, by the way, at McDonald's. That came up in the proceedings today down at a Broward County courtroom. But the family's now been awarded $800,000 in damages. I got to tell you that if you recall, there was a case a while back that a woman was burned with coffee from McDonald's. And the original verdict was just astronomically high. It was like, $20 million that McDonald's was ordered to pay. Well, McDonald's appealed, and then there was an appeal, and then there was a negotiation, and this, that, and the other. In the end, the woman who got severely burned by coffee from McDonald's ended up getting chump change, maybe $250,000, something like that. Chump change compared to what, she was originally awarded. I'm not saying $250,000 is chump change. But in that case, McDonald's admitted in court that they serve their coffee hotter than regular serving temperature because their research determined that a lot of people don't drink the coffee as soon as they get it in the drive-through window. They wait till they get to work, and then they slowly drink the coffee, from work. So they deliberately set their coffee temperatures hotter than what it should have been, than what other restaurants serve. Because everybody's reaction was, well, of course hot coffee is hot. Of course it's going to burn yourself. Of course. Everybody got so upset. This poor woman was burned terribly on the inside of her thighs and groin area. And she had to have skin grafts. She was burned so bad, she had to have skin grafts. And it was because they didn't, well, primarily because they overheated their coffee. But when they handed it to her, the lid was not securely placed on the coffee. So as soon as she got it, the coffee spilled into her lap. But that is, to me, vastly different. And I agree that woman should have been awarded considerable money from McDonald's. And McDonald's has since turned down the temperature of their coffee. But you can't turn down the temperature of cooking oil. I'm a little perplexed by this one, finding them guilty, because you've got to cook chicken all the way through, even if there's not real chicken in it. You've got to cook that all the way through. 844-580-WDBO, or hit me up in the open mic.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
More crashes here to report. Unfortunately, we have one right now on 528 eastbound, beyond State Road 15. Traffic backed up really far. 2 left lanes are blocked there. And again, this is mostly due to all of the rain that we've been having in the northern part of Seminole County. Just powerful thunder and lightning right now. Lots of red on the screens. Again, just use caution no matter where you go. This report sponsored by Compassion International. Families in poverty are facing a global food crisis. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
There's no relief from the heat, but there is some relief from the smoke. The air quality is improving for millions as smoke from wildfires burning in Canada continue across the country. The smoke is starting to move out of the north and southeast U.S.
I can't hear either of you, so. That is complete sunshine and pouring rain.
Hey, Joe. Regarding what you and Paul were just talking about, a lot of the drivers rely on that auto setting for their headlights that doesn't always turn on their tail lights. So please turn your switch for your headlights to the on position. Have a great day. Love the show.
You know,
See you,
that
buddy.
is, thank you. That is great advice. And I'll tell you, I'm the first person to be guilty of that one. So my headlights are always in the automatic setting, and that didn't occur to me. You're right. You're absolutely right. So, and I always feel bad because everybody who's like left an open mic, they're like, well, tell the morons and tell the idiots. And then I'm like, gosh, sometimes they're not morons or idiots. There are people just like you and me, and maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're just scared. Maybe they don't want to be on the road, you know. I'm guilty of that too, I guess, because I always keep my headlights on automatic, and I always like that. And it doesn't ever occur to me. In fact, until you said that, I don't think I was fully aware that my taillights would not be on. And frankly, in rain like this, taillights are quite possibly more important than your headlights anyway. Wouldn't you say, Paul? All right, coming up in the next hour, unless we're going to continue talking about hazard lights, we're going to talk about sex in space. We're going to have a sex conversation in the next hour. So I'm just giving you the heads up right now. If that is something that you're afraid that you don't want to listen to, just know that's going to happen. Or if that's something that you're really, really excited about, just know that we're going to be talking about sex in space coming up in the next hour. So stay with us. It is the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
I'll do a test. I know Joe can't hear me, but can you hear me in the chat room? If not, then it's going to be an additional problem. But
Can y'all
I
hear
have been
me
trying
if
not
I'm
to speak
talking?
so much.
Can y'all hear me?
I let the host do it.
So Laurel's computer crashed. and she's having to reboot her computer, but she has to do the newscast first. He who, which who? Okay. Okay. So yeah, thank you, Stephanie. So Laurel's computer went poop, and she is has to restart it. And now I got to mute my mic. Or do I? If she's not here, do I need to mute my mic? Probably not. I don't know. It does look like the storms are dissipating a little bit. The intensity of them is lightening up a little bit. But boy, that view out your window, Paul, that looked terrible. I wish we had windows here. I can't really see outside. You can just barely see the window that I can see through right there. See, that's the window, or in that direction. So it's like 3 rooms away, and it's behind 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of glass, and the blinds are half closed, and it looks right into a tree. So not exactly the best view of the weather. I wish we had a periscope, right? Down periscope. And I could just look around. I could see, oh my gosh. I'm going to ask the engineers for a periscope. The Joe Kelley periscope. Who's with me? You have hundreds of periscopes? Cameras? Yeah. Right. So my wife just texted me. She says, the hot dog comment is making me question every other time you've said you like my food now. I will say that my wife makes, as hot dogs go, she makes good hot dogs. She knows how I like them. I usually like them in the garbage can, but she likes, they're easy to make, and in a pinch, I will eat a hot dog. At a baseball game, I will eat a hot dog.
Government in Central Florida. And stories that matter to you. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let your voice be heard on the Joe Kelley Show.
I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about other countries. What people do in other countries is mostly irrelevant to me. I often don't care what people do in other states. Frequently don't care what other people do that aren't me. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. We all have our crosses to bear. We all have our lives to live. We all have our challenges and opportunities. But one thing I found very interesting, and I picked this up in Fox News, that doctors from 9 countries have warned U.S. leaders that they are exaggerating the benefits and minimizing the risks of youth gender transition. This is so interesting. So this whole trans phase that America is going through right now, right? We're going through a phase. So this whole phase we're going through right now with transgenderdom, it is evidently an American thing. Not uniquely American, not singularly American, but mostly American. I didn't realize that. I would have thought that other nations, certainly some nations like Iran and some other, some Muslim nations, I mean, they're not going to allow transgenderdom to run rampant there. I get that. But I didn't realize to what extent this was an American thing, an American trend, an American phase that we're going through. It's just a phase. We're just going through a phase right now. But let me read from part of this report here from Fox News. International doctors are sounding the alarm that America is gambling with children's futures by pushing transgender medical procedures while downplaying their consequences. America has become the outlier on the world stage as medical groups push trans treatment for children, even as countries in Western Europe advise caution or distance themselves from such practices. So now doctors from France, the United Kingdom, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Belgium, Switzerland, South Africa, and the United States signed a joint letter to the editor in the Wall Street Journal Friday warning that American medical leaders, such as the Endocrine Society President Stephen Hams, are dangerously cavalier on this issue. The doctors were responding to a letter in the Wall Street Journal from Hams and they disputed his claim that 2,000 studies confirm that gender-affirming care improves the well-being of transgender and gender-diverse people and reduces the risk of suicide. So these doctors from 9 different countries disagree with his claim that there are 2,000 studies saying that gender-affirming care is good. Doctors from numerous countries objected to a letter to the editor touting the benefits of gender-affirming care. The doctors declared that every systemic review of evidence to date has found the evidence for mental health benefits of hormonal interventions for minors to be of low or very low certainty. That is really interesting. And I think it speaks to the unlikelihood. I mean, if suddenly the United States is being overrun by transgender people, I mean, it speaks to it being a fad and not being a real medical condition. Because if this was a real medical condition, why would it just be happening in the United States? Instead, as so many other experts have said, it's a social contagion. In that, the more people hear about it, the more people think, oh, I want to be unique. I want to be cool. I want to be in the in crowd. I want to be special. I'm going to be trans. What an interesting study. 844-580-WDBO or hit me up in the open mic in the WDBO app. Okay, we're going to talk about sex. I know it's not something we talk a lot about here on the Joe Kelley Show. In fact, have we ever talked about sex? Probably not. Okay, so we're going to talk about sex in space. So if you're troubled by sex talk, Just know I'm giving you the heads up right now. We're going to talk a little bit about sex.
Okay, put me on.
Well, I'm sorry.
I'm highly offended by space. So you could talk sex all you want.
Okay,
but
so the sex
you
is
said
good.
space.
The
Yeah,
space part
space
is bad.
thing, yeah, that's the bad.
All right. So there is something called and I want to say I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's the Kármán line. So the Kármán line is the boundary where space begins. The Kármán line is 62 miles above sea level. It marks basically the beginning of space. So we've all heard of the Mile High Club. Well, now there is a great deal of discussion about joining the Kármán line club, having sex above 62 miles above sea level. So while NASA, and this is interesting to me, NASA scientists insist that no humans have ever had sex in space. I find that to be a dubious claim. I truly do. If you're stuck in a tiny capsule for 6 months, 8 months, and even whether it's same sex or mixed sexes, do you really think that we've been in space since the late 60s? You're telling me that nobody's had sex in outer space? I call BS on that. I just find that very hard to believe that someone didn't have an affair or a relationship, or just say, hey, for the sake of science, you want to go, do the thing? I mean, I just see that happening in the space station, or before that, Skylab. So here's the deal. With this new era of space flight, with all these private companies going up into space, David Cullen, who is a professor of bioanalytical technology at Cranfield University, is calling for urgent research into the consequences of sex in space. He says, my colleagues and I believe that space tourism companies haven't adequately prepared for the consequences of people joining what we would call the Kármán line club. The astronaut code of conduct. So NASA doesn't explicitly ban sex in space, but its astronaut code of conduct calls for relationships of trust and professional standards to be maintained at all times. Yeah, but you know what? You're alone. You've been alone up in outer space for 6 months, 8 months, however long you've been up in space. I mean, suddenly everything is good looking to you. I remember, I don't, hang on, let me pause for a second to think if I should tell this story on the radio. Yeah, okay, I'm going to tell the story. I remember one of my only jobs that wasn't in radio. I was a summer camp counselor for Boy Scouts, and so we spent 6 weeks in the forest, and every week it was new kids come in, new Boy Scout troops and stuff would come in, and I remember that the camp counselor, the man that was in charge of all the Boy Scouts, of all of us that were working the summer camp, he lived there at the camp just as we did. He had a nice cabin. We slept in tents, but he had 2 daughters. And I remember at the beginning of the 6-week summer camp stretch for us, there were none of us that were attracted to the 2 daughters. I mean, none of us, no one gave it a thought that the camp counselor had 2 daughters. 6 weeks later, at the end, there were daily fist fights about the 2 daughters, because 6 weeks into summer camp of looking at nothing but boys, people really got into the only 2 girls that were there. And I that's what I see happening in outer space, is that you've been up there for so long and you're bored, or you're curious, or you're frisky, whatever the case may be. I find it really hard to believe that people haven't had sex in outer space. But let me go on. The space agency, NASA, has also banned any married couples from going into space together, although it has nothing to do with sex. It is mostly due to concerns about group dynamics. They don't want a married couple up there, that goes and does their own things, and they have their own trust issues and everything else like that. So this doctor writes, considering that space travel is no longer reserved to professional astronauts, the various motivations of space tourists and upcoming spacecraft developments, we have concluded that in-space sex will probably happen within the next 10 years. But sex in space won't be straightforward. A Professor Anja Geitman, Dean of the Department of Planet Sciences at McGill University in Montreal, has done significant research on sex in space and explains that the main issue would be for the partners to the main issue would be for the partners to try to remain in physical proximity of one another since they can't rely on gravity to push one partner against the other. Another issue would be trying to avoid hitting one's head, since again, there is no gravity to prevent the partners to drift away from one another and hitting the nearest obstacle with each movement. And bodily fluids would quickly float away, which could be messy. And blood circulation in space is also affected by the lack of gravity, and it could make it difficult for a man to get aroused. In an article for NASA, she writes, there's no gravity to pull blood into the lower part of the body. Instead, the blood goes into the chest and head, causing astronauts to have puffy faces and bulging blood vessels in their necks. So there you go. Sex.
I am innately aware now why we don't talk about this on the radio.
So I think honestly, and I think this would be the one time where bondage would be a requirement. I mean, because when they sleep, when astronauts sleep, they are in bondage, right? They don't just float around the cabin when they sleep. They're tied down. They get into like a sleeping bag that is affixed to a surface, to a wall or to a floor or a ceiling. There's no such thing in outer space as a wall or a floor or a ceiling, because it's all the same thing in outer space in zero gravity. So I would think that if they want to really do some research on sex in space, they would have to bring in some experts from the field of bondage, I would think. But that
Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
You know, she's still with us. She is, isn't she?
God bless her. Jeez.
Hey, Google, is Dr. Ruth Westheimer still alive?
Sorry, I don't have any information about that.
Oh, she doesn't have any information about that. All right. No, stop.
I'll have to look it up. I don't know if she is alive or not, but
I do believe she is still alive. I think so. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can hit me up in the open mic in the WDBO app. Coming up in a few minutes here, we're going to talk about the Orange County Tourist Development Tax and where that money is going to get spent. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in other people's money to be spent here in the greater Orlando area. We'll have that details for you coming up straight ahead.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Well, Dr. Ruth is 95 years old, and the 528 is really packed up between the airport and Narcoossee, and that's on the eastbound side because of a crash. They've moved to the left shoulder. A crash on Vineland Road at Conroy, also one in Seminole County. You got a wreck at Lake Emma Road and Longwood Hills Road. And Joe is correct that the weather is kind of moving away from us a little bit, but it doesn't. It's not going to take too long for all of this traffic to kind of get back up to speed. Still really much of a mess on I-4 between the downtown area and Celebration. This report sponsored by Wendy's. Wendy's BOGO $1 deal is back at participating Wendy's. Buy a Dave's single spicy chicken sandwich, 10-piece nugs, or medium frosty and get another one for $1. Double your deliciousness. Hurry. This BOGO deal won't last. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Today is National Hot Dog Day, celebrating the staple of cookouts everywhere. That means there will be plenty of specials and deals to be found. A good thing for Americans who eat 70 hot dogs per capita each year. Two. Michigan's Attorney General says she's filed charges against 16 people who signed paperwork falsely claiming former President Trump won the 2020 election. Attorney General Dana Nessel says that the group allegedly met in the basement of the state's Republican Party headquarters to sign the papers. One. A summer heat wave is unleashing more blistering temps on parts of the U.S. this week. Phoenix reached nearly 110 degrees for the 19th day in a row Tuesday, breaking the previous record streak set nearly 50 years ago. Elsewhere, El Paso, Texas has been in the triple digits for more than 30 days straight. Hi, Beth. Welcome. Awkward Joe talks about sex, and then Karen goes to church. Thanks, Joe. Hi, Winnie. Sorry I got kicked off, y'all. I don't know if the storm did that or just sometimes this site boots me off. Well, actually, it doesn't boot me off. It tells me my mic and my camera have stopped working. And I'm like, well, that's not good. And the only way to fix it is to restart the whole computer. Not just shut down the browser, but restart the whole darn computer. So that's what I had to do real quick. That's crazy, Beth. Yeah, I know we're hot. But when I hear about those 115, 120 degrees, I'm like, oh, no way, Jose. No way.
I saw that. No yawning, Laurel. We have a strict no yawning rule here. Are you caffeinating this late in the day? Oh my gosh.
I need it.
I don't know how you do that. So did you see the email? They're giving away a pair of tickets for Leonard Skinner and ZZ Top. So we have 2 extra tickets if you guys want to go see it at the Mid-Florida Credit Union Amphitheater in Tampa, Saturday night.
That's cool.
It's Leonard Skinner and ZZ Top. I should say it's what's left of Leonard Skinner and what's left of ZZ Top.
Pretty much.
Because a whole bunch of them are dead. And that's an email for the staff to give them away to the staff. I'd like to give them away to listeners. I'd like to give them away on the air. It's not too late to give those away on the air. I've seen ZZ Top in concert. I've never seen Leonard Skinner in concert.
Oh, I'm the opposite. I've seen Leonard Skinner.
Oh, really?
I've never seen ZZ Top. Yeah, they came. Remember when Universal had a bunch of concerts? I saw them there.
I do, yeah.
Paul's seen them both.
Paul's a rock and roller. Hey, I don't remember if I talked about this on the air. Can you guys remember if I talked about this on the air? A mountain biker died while he was trying to help rescue some hikers that were overcome by heat in San Diego. Did I talk about that on the air?
I don't believe so.
I don't think I did either. And honestly, I think I just talked to Josh about it. I think he and I were chatting about it, and I couldn't remember.
Segments on topics that matter to Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
I love your show every night. You're doing great, bud.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad you guys are joining us here on the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. If you ever miss any part of the show and you're thinking, oh, I didn't catch the last hour last night, or I didn't hear the first hour, or I missed the whole show, or whatever the case may be, just look for the Joe Kelley Show podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, you'll find it in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere else. While you're at it, look for the Joe Kelley Show Facebook page. Give that a like if you would, please. I would certainly appreciate that. Laurel, you reported that the average American eats 70 hot dogs in a year. 70 hot dogs?
Yeah.
That's way too many hot dogs to be eating. Honest to goodness, if not for my wife, because my wife will make me hot dogs, and I like the way she makes the hot dogs. But if not for her, I mean, I would go years without having a hot dog. And then you asked me in the chat room, what about bologna sandwiches? Because bologna is basically thin hot dogs, right? It's flat hot dogs.
Yeah. One of our chatters, Karen, asked you that, but yeah, absolutely.
It's the same meat, right?
I think so.
Which is like pig snouts and horse hooves and that
Eyeballs,
kind of things.
yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't think I have had a bologna sandwich since I was like 8 or 9 years old. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to buy bologna. Do they still make bologna?
Yeah, where is your whimsy, dude?
Just bologna is yuck. I mean, that is what?
My
What
mom
is wrong
used to
with you?
fry it.
Yes.
Or like in a pan. Used to put it in a pan and fry it up and make it, so that.
And
the
I
kids
have
would eat
I
it.
have done the same a long time ago when I was 8. Was the last time I
That's
think
it. My mom
I
used to do
fried a piece of bologna, and I recall wrapping it around a banana and putting peanut butter on it as well. Did you guys ever do that? Did you ever put peanut butter on bologna and wrap it around a banana?
No, that sounds weird.
No, it's a thing.
You're making that up.
No, it's totally a thing. Put
bologna around.
No. Put peanut butter on bologna and then wrap that around a banana.
I'm not sure I trust somebody that doesn't like bacon either. So
I mean, peanut butter and banana sandwiches. That's what Elvis.
That was an Elvis thing, right?
But I never heard the bologna aspect.
I'm telling you, it is a thing.
Okay.
Here, someone send me an open mic or call and confirm that is a thing. I wasn't the only one.
I believe you now. I was thinking it was made up, but I do believe you.
Yeah, you take a piece of bologna. Yeah, I use creamy peanut butter. You don't want to use crunchy peanut butter. But put peanut butter on it.
Right, that would just make it weird.
and then wrap it around. Oh, you get the idea. All right, so there you go. So the Orange County Tourist Development Council, they had their one of their meetings today, and they basically rubber stamped the report from their Citizens Advisory Panel, which is what they do, recommending a number of things. And of those things, the big thing is going to be expanding the Orange County Convention Center by 1 million more square feet, adding a ballroom and a multi-purpose hall. Well, that is super duper exciting for Orlando, he says sarcastically. These are service workers, and these are service worker jobs, and these are not going to be high-paying jobs that we're going to be spending money on. These are going to be minimum wage jobs as we expand the convention center. Whoop-to-do. What they get excited about, our county leaders, is by expanding the convention space, theoretically, they'll expand how many conventions that they have. And the more conventions we have, the more money goes into the tourism tax development fund, because all those people have to stay at hotels. And all those people that stay at hotels, whether it's an Airbnb or a hotel, they have to pay 6%, as they call it sometimes a resort fee, a hotel fee, a bed tax, but they'll have to pay 6%. So it is self-serving. It is purely to bring in more money for the tourism development tax. That's their number one priority, is expanding the Orange County Convention Center and adding more service jobs. We've got more than our fair share of service workers. They could bring big dollars and high-paying jobs. The second priority is adding capacity and a canopy to Camping World Stadium. Adding capacity? When was the last time Camping World Stadium sold out? I would have to say it was probably like the Garth Brooks concert, if that sold out. Maybe the Paul McCartney concert, which I didn't see. I saw the Garth Brooks concert, but I didn't see the Paul McCartney concert. So they're going to expand the capacity of Camping World Stadium and add a canopy to it as well. We'll get to more on this list for you. Coming up next, stay with us here on the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
This is WDBO.
WDBO.
107.
Good evening, 6:31 here at WDBO. Our top story, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre today saying the U.S. is still trying to ascertain the whereabouts and well-being of Trevor King, the American soldier who crossed into North Korea on Tuesday.
The administration has and will continue to actively work to ensure his safety and the return of Private King to us and to his family, obviously.
At least one person has died after gunfire erupted in a South Florida Walmart. A witness says he saw a man shot twice in the chest and a second person shot in the leg in the Florida City store. Police and paramedics began swarming the store this afternoon after the first reports of the shooting. One handcuffed person was seen in the back of a Florida City police cruiser. A motive for the shooting is not yet known. New details on this week's search warrant that was carried out by police near Las Vegas into the murder of rapper Tupac nearly 30 years ago.
Monday's search of a home near Las Vegas is seen as a success, according to an official briefed on the investigation. We know that computers, hard drives, magazine articles about Tupac and his death were taken, along with photos from the 1990s that show people who might have been connected. Charges are not imminent. The case will be presented to a Las Vegas grand jury. It could take months for that grand jury to decide whether to indict anyone in the 1996 murder. Alex Stone, ABC News.
6:32 here at WDBO. Who knew we'd have breaking Tupac news? Weird.
Biggie's next. You're gonna find out who got him.
I mean, that means the investigations. I mean, I know they're cold cases, but still, somebody was actively still looking into that. It's just something I never thought about, I guess.
Kind of bizarre.
Beth, he just noticed that I was drinking an energy drink. Yeah, a Celsius. I can drink espresso and sleep. Like, energy does not work for me. So I try anything.
You know what I did today?
What did you do today?
I missed an appointment I had at 9 o'clock. I forgot to look at my calendar for the day ahead last night when I went to bed. And so I get this phone call at 9:07 this morning. And I look at my phone. I'm like, oh, yeah. I have a dentist appointment today. So I missed my dental cleaning today.
You got to pay that fee?
I did.
Yeah, I hate that.
$25.
Oh, mine charges $50 if you miss.
She said that she went to the doctor and said we usually charge $50, but he said to charge you $25. And I don't know why.
It's because you got them pretty teeth. He's like, he's a pretty teeth patient.
Do you know who you were?
He makes plenty of money on me. So
yeah. They know who you were. They play DBO over the speakers.
I don't think they do, honestly. And in fact, you know what? I am famous at the doctor's office, at the dentist's office, for an entirely different reason. And that is because I moved here from Oklahoma. And there are like 4 or 5 dental techs in the office that are all from Oklahoma. So every time I'm there, like, oh, it's the Oklahoma guy. And I'm really not an Oklahoma guy. I'm not from Oklahoma. I moved here from Oklahoma, but I'm not from Oklahoma. Oh, can I tell you, the first time my then wife and I went to we went to this banquet, this big fundraiser, whatever it was. And suddenly everybody, you stand up and they sing the national anthem, at the start of a banquet or whatever. And then everybody starts singing the song Oklahoma. And I'm like, what the hell? What is happening? How do they all know the words to this song? The Rodgers and Hammerstein song, Oklahoma, where the wind comes western down the plain, and the land I love, and the blood I love, and the bada 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 bay. Oklahoma, where the bum da bada bada bay. I don't know the words other than the Oklahoma part. But it was the craziest thing to just stand there and watch everybody stand up and sing Oklahoma. We need a Florida song like that. Florida, where the wind comes whipping down the rain. La, 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 la. Alligators and the thing and the mosquitoes. Blah, 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 blah.
Our We're Sharknado Nation here.
Where's that button, Laurel? Beth, you're funny. That's funny, David. I have an appointment on my calendar for tomorrow that says I have an echocardiogram, but I know I do not have an echocardiogram tomorrow. So I need to call the doctor's office and I'm like, you don't have me on the schedule today, right? Because for some reason I've got an appointment on my schedule that says I have an echocardiogram, but I don't. I'm pretty certain I don't.
Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Got a serious crash in Seminole County. All southbound lanes of 1792 are closed at State Road 419. Also, police activity has forced the shutdown of the on-ramp from International Parkway to the 417. And that earlier crash, 528 eastbound at Narcoossee on the left shoulder. And it is full speed right now, so things are looking better. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. And price low. School on, save on at your local Staples store. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Orlando's news and talk. News, weather, traffic, all the things you want on your drive home. Plus, Joe Kelley being, well, Joe Kelley. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's news and talk. WDBO.
All right, so Orange County's Tourist Development Council has basically 5 recommendations for how to spend a boat ton of money that we charge tourists. This is not that doesn't come out of we don't have a state income tax. Doesn't come out of sales tax. Doesn't come out of your property taxes. It is a tax on tourists. So this is at least money that we're not paying, but somebody else is. And so anybody who comes and spends the night here in a hotel, be it an Airbnb or whatever it is, they have to pay a resort tax, a hotel tax, a bed tax. They call it a variety of things, but it's a 6% fee on whatever they spend, and that goes to this fund. And then the community gets together and they decide how to divvy this up. Now, there are certain restrictions and rules on how the money gets to be spent. It has to be spent on tourist-related things. Their number 1 priority is going to be expanding the Orange County Convention Center. Number 2 is adding capacity and a canopy to Camping World Stadium. That's going to expected to cost some $800 million. By the way, Ronald, great research, looked it up during the break. The last person to sell out Camping World Stadium was Bad Bunny. And that was just, I don't know, 6 months ago. It wasn't very long ago. I've lost all track of time. But it wasn't terribly long ago, because in fact I remember I flew my drone over Camping World Stadium, not the night of the concert. I don't do that. I don't misbehave in that way, but I flew it over the Camping World Stadium the night before when they were doing sound checks and setups, and it was pretty cool stuff. August 5th. Oh, so it was almost a year ago. Wow. All right. Time does fly, doesn't it? Next on their priority list is renovating the Amway Center. I feel like the Amway Center is still brand new. Don't you guys feel like it's still new? Next is a multi-tiered outdoor space at the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts. Now, we've all known that the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts is a work in progress. We've all known that there will be more coming to the Dr. Phillips Center, which is why there's so much green space out front, because that green space is going to be taken up. That is not a permanent addition to the Dr. Phillips Center, as they're going to be adding things in where that grass is, including some hotel space and some other stuff. And then finally, creating an athletic village at the University of Central Florida. That's expected to cost about $176 million. Well, I know how popular the football games are. I know how popular the basketball games are. And certainly at UCF, I could see that coming in handy out there. But I wonder. I mean, I guess that would be tourists as people are traveling to see the games, and they come here for that. In other news, a mountain biker is dead after helping rescue 4 hikers who were overcome by heat and dehydration in the arid mountains near San Diego, California. According to the Sacramento Bee, the firefighters rescued the hikers from the Carrizo Gorge area, described as very rugged and remote, in the Hukumba Mountains on Saturday. These 4 hikers, it was 115 degrees. 4 hikers, they didn't have any food or water. They were found by 4 bicyclists. 2 of the bicyclists rode out to meet rescuers and guide them to where the hikers were. 2 of the bicyclists remain behind. You follow me so far? So there's 4 hikers and 4 bicyclists. The 4 hikers were in trouble. They didn't bring any food or water. The bicyclists did. 2 of the bicyclists rode out so that they could get cell phone signals, call rescuers, meet them, and bring them to where the 4 hikers were stranded. So rescuers then airlifted the hikers, all of whom required medical care. And the 2 bicyclists who remain began to ride out together, but somehow became separated. I think you get an idea where this is going. Rescuers later found one of the 2 bicyclists overcome by heat about a quarter mile up the trail and was taken to the hospital in critical condition, where he could not be revived and died. The other bicyclists also required medical care. Again, temperatures in the Hukumba Mountains reached 115 degrees on Saturday. Now, I'm going to ask you the same question we asked about the Titan submarine. Who should pay for the rescue? Do you think that taxpayers should be on the hook for these ding-dongs going out in the wilderness when it's 115 degrees without any water or food, ill-prepared for the challenge that lies ahead? I mean, it's not unlike the Titan submarine, except there were billions of dollars spent on the Titan submarine. But people have been so irritated that the United States was footing the bill for a lot of the rescue efforts. And the United States is footing the bill for the investigation, which is being conducted by the Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard. So if people engage in extreme sports, and generally hiking is not an extreme sport, biking is not an extreme sport, but it is when it's 115 degrees and you're ill-prepared. Then it becomes incredibly extreme, extremely dangerous, and in this case, extremely deadly. I happen to believe that with few exceptions, I think it's money well spent trying to rescue people. I think the human life is worth it. And whether it's the Titan sub or people who are too dumb to bring water on a hike, I think it's a good idea that we rescue people. I don't mind my taxpayer dollars being spent on saving human lives. I think that's a good use of money. What do you think? 844-580-WDBO, 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. House Republicans and Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, are, in a sense, admitting to climate change in one sense. So they're kind of moving away from climate change denial. And now the Speaker of the House was asked about climate change and forest fires, and evidently he was ready with an answer. His plan? Plant 1 trillion trees. The idea is simple yet massively ambitious, revealed during Republican thinking on how to address climate change. The party is no longer denying that global warming exists, yet they're searching for a response to the sweltering summers, weather disasters, rising sea levels that doesn't involve abandoning their enthusiastic support for American-produced energy from burning oil, coal, and gas. Love the idea. Plant 1 trillion trees. But the problem with that is, I don't know about you, I can't wrap my brain around how many trees 1 trillion is. I couldn't wrap my brain around how many trees 1 billion is. A trillion trees. A 2019 study suggested that planting trees to suck up heat-trapping carbon dioxide from the atmosphere could be one of the most effective ways to fight climate change. Major conservation groups and former President Trump, who has downplayed humanity's role in climate change, have embraced the idea of planting more trees. I absolutely love the idea of planting more trees. When I was gosh, I have so many stories from being a Boy Scout. Boy Scouts was a big part of my life. Honestly, I learned more. This was before the new woke Boy Scouts. When I was in Boy Scouts, it was the old school Boy Scouts. My Eagle Scout certificate signed by President Ronald Reagan. I've got that framed. It's no longer on my wall because honestly, I'm not real sure where it is at this moment. We've moved and stuff. But I remember one of our Cub Scout projects was to go out and plant trees with Weyerhaeuser. Now, Weyerhaeuser is the giant pulp paper producer. Weyerhaeuser manages and maintains multiple tree farms around the United States, and they're not dumb. They plant like 5 trees for every tree they cull. For every tree they cut down, they plant like 5 more. And we're not talking about old growth forests. That's a different thing. I mean, just regular trees are sustainable. I mean, you can plant more trees. You can plant a hell of a lot more trees. And the trees do provide shade. They can help cool down the surface. The trees absorb the carbon dioxide, produce oxygen. They're a great thing. I love the idea of planting more trees. But planting 1 trillion trees would also require a massive amount of space, roughly the size of the continental United States. We would have to get rid of every road, every highway, every building, every parking lot, everything to squeeze in 1 trillion trees. It sounds like something from an Austin Powers movie, just a ludicrous amount of trees, 1 trillion trees. What do you guys think about the idea? 844-580-WDBO. Go out and plant a tree today. But I don't know that we're going to get to 1 trillion trees. How? That would just take so much land, so much effort, so much space. I'm Joe Kelley. You're listening to The Joe Kelley Show. We'll continue.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Still about 1 trillion cars going through downtown right now. I-4 westbound is from Parr to onto the 408 ramps, and then eastbound it's bunched up from OBT all the way through downtown. We had that crash I-4 westbound in the express lanes before Orange Blossom Trail with the left lane blocked, and a crash at 436 at Festival Drive in the Altamont Springs area. ProTech Air Conditioning and Plumbing Service for honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction. Call ProTech 407-291-1644 or visit ProTechAC.com. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Now.
A Texas woman is under arrest in Dubai for shouting in public. Tiara Allen, who is a 29-year-old social media influencer from Houston, allegedly raised her voice while trying to retrieve her passport from a rental car company. Her passport has now been confiscated, and she's been locked up for 2 months. Two. Mortgage rates are dropping slightly. The average contract interest rate for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage dipped under 7% last week, according to Mortgage Bankers Association. Experts credit the cooling of inflation for the rate decline. One. The president of Israel says he wants to one day make peace with Palestine. President Isaac Herzog spoke before a joint session of Congress this morning on Capitol Hill. A number of progressive Democrats in Congress boycotted Herzog's remarks in protest of Israel's treatment of Palestine.
So, Beth, your daughter is right. Check this out. You can become a tree after you die. And they will plant you with a tree. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, until the land gets sold 20 years later and you're made into paper.
How to become a tree after you're dead.
But that only has to be a little bit of the ashes, right? I mean, that's not all of your ashes.
No,
So you're
no,
supposed to
no.
do something
I
with
don't
the
think
rest.
it's ashes.
How can you have your ashes turned into a tree?
No, no, no. It's not your ashes. They put you in the ground.
Oh, you know what? I had
Unless
a mortician.
I misread that.
A mortician talked about that and said there's something weird about it. It's not as good as everybody thinks. But now I can't remember.
Because
what
my
she
sense
said.
is that your body becomes the fertilizer.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do my research. A mortician was coming out and saying people are all about this, but it's not as good as you think. And now I'm going to have to do my research about why she said that.
Can I tell you something? Ronnie Sue, when we lived in downtown Orlando, way back when we lived in downtown Orlando, last week, one night when we're out for a walk, she was picking up acorns, oak tree acorns, and doggone it, she went home and planted them in a little planter, this big. And sure enough, we've got an oak tree that's about that big right now. And it's still in a pot. It's still in a planter. But we just she grabbed an acorn and now has a tree growing.
That's how plants work. I didn't know if you missed biology class.
I think I did.
But trees come from seeds.
Tell me more.
That's cool, though. That's really cool.
So
my dad has his own he has 3 avocado trees growing from avocado seeds. Yeah. He's trying to give me one, and then I'm like, well,
I'm most perplexed at you pronouncing it avocado.
How do you say it?
Avocado?
Oh, because you fancy?
Yes.
Avocado. I'm from California.
I took English in school.
It's an avocado.
While I wasn't taking
biology. Am I saying it right, or is Paul or is Joe saying it
right?
It's
not an avocado.
Avocado. Look, in California, I grew up on avocados, not avocados.
Okay, I'm from Pittsburgh. I say drawing weird. I say
well, that's true. That you got the drawl in there, and that's fine.
I can't help it. Okay,
no, that's fine. Everybody knows what you're talking about. It doesn't matter.
That's right. That's all that matters. Joe,
yes.
In Hamlin, they've opened up. Had a soft opening yesterday of the Maple Street Biscuit Company.
Yes.
And I need you to go and tell me if it's delicious.
Roger that. I've actually been wanting to for quite some time go to the Maple Street Maple
Street Biscuit Company.
Yes. Because it exists somewhere else.
Yeah, I think
up north somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere
way up north, like Maitland or something like that. And I've always wanted to go. And yeah, so I thought they were already open. You're telling me they're not even open yet?
Their post says soft open Tuesday, July 18th at 7 a.m. So it was yesterday. So
okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll let you know. Do they have biscuits and chicken, right? It's like, is that a fried chicken place?
Yeah. Yeah, fried chicken on biscuits.
Yeah, we're out of time, Paul. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I ran late in that last segment. That's on me. What does that mean that you didn't get a notification? Karen, you didn't hear Joe scream? So when you guys say you didn't get a notification, do you mean like Facebook notification?
Yeah, because we didn't know that happens.
So just so you guys know in the chat, we don't stream through Facebook. We don't do this through Facebook. We have a third-party app we use that connects us to to multiple things, Facebook, YouTube, and stuff like that. Look, I don't want to name names, Laura Lee, but we went a little long in that last segment, Paul Cross. And because we went a little long in that last segment, we don't have a whole lot of time in this segment, I regret. So, on behalf of the aforementioned Laura Lee and Paul Cross, have a great night, and we'll catch you back here tomorrow afternoon, 5 till 7. It's the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
Got a crash I-4 westbound in the express lanes before Orange Blossom Trail. Another wreck 436 westbound at Festival Drive. That one blocking the left lane. This report sponsored by Heron Home and Outdoor. Keeping the grass on your lawn green and your shrubs and trees in tip-top shape is their specialty. Even trillions and trillions of trees. Visit myheronhome.com today for a free quote and money-saving offers. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
WDBO.
Patrick. Okay. So for Paul and Laurel, Patrick commented on YouTube. So that's a YouTube comment.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see that. How interesting.
So that answers. So as I was saying before, we don't actually stream to Facebook directly. We use something called StreamYard, and then we can distribute it to multiple different platforms, including our YouTube page. And so I can pick if I want. I can only pick 3, I'm afraid, of where I want it to go. So I always do the WDBO page. I'll usually do my personal page, and then the third one I'll do sometimes my Twitter page, my YouTube page, or something else like that. Patrick, thank you for that. Appreciate it. I think it's a different Patrick. Yeah, that's a different Patrick. Hey, you guys in the chat, thank you so much for watching and being a part of the show. You guys make it so enjoyable for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great night. Be safe, and we'll catch you back here tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. Good night.